Hello everyone, this is POW Weather. In this update, we're going to be talking about our next storm system as the active weather looks to continue at least through the first week of April. Good morning everyone, this is your March 31st update, and what we're taking a look at here this morning is the overall water vapor imagery. We had that storm system that came through Texas a couple of days ago that brought all that instability. That shifted off into the southeast yesterday, where unfortunately they reported 32 tornadoes so far, and unfortunately 2 fatalities out here in the Florida Panhandle. That was a very busy day, and that continues to shift off the East Coast. This morning, you can see from the water vapor imagery, all that instability is going to be over the Florida Panhandle, off the East Coast, and up here portions of the Northeast today. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted the overall slight risk for severe weather. And in fact, they've actually extended this essentially from Tallahassee all the way up into portions of New York and to Scranton today. All along the East Coast is going to be under the gun to bringing all 3 modes of severe weather. And kind of here's the breakdown. It's mainly going to be a damaging wind threat where we had numerous wind damages reports yesterday. We're expecting to increase that today off the coast of East Coast here. But then also you can't roll out some larger hail with this system as well. But we do have some tornado potential as well. Well, we could see some few tornadoes in these isolated spots down here to portions of the Panhandle of Florida, getting back in here to portions of Georgia, as well as the South Carolina. But there's also another area of concern up here into Pennsylvania, where they did actually increase the tornado impact for later on this afternoon. So don't be surprised, or definitely be on the lookout for possibility of several tornadoes within this sector later on this afternoon. In fact, the newest tornado watch has already been highlighted. In fact, this is the 85th tornado watch of the year. So it's been a very active March already. So now until 2 o'clock, you live in these areas into Panama City, into Apalachicola, all the way up in here into Tallahassee, all the way into Douglas, into Dublin here. You can definitely see possibility of a few tornadoes with this very dynamic system moving across, some quarter-size hail and wind gusts of up to 65 miles an hour. So definitely have a way to get all your warnings and get in your safe zone when things turn quickly, because these storms, again, we're going to be moving 45, 55 miles an hour as these continue to race across. And here's the overall setup as it looks like later on this afternoon, say about 4 o'clock time frame. Still looking at storms into the Florida Panhandle, but by then it should be along the Carolina coast, South Carolina into North Carolina, up here to Virginia Beach, to Richmond, to DC, to Philly, into New York. So it could be a very active afternoon into portions of the Mid-Atlantic, but those storms will be continue to push off into the evening hours, and by the time we get into late evening, all of these should be pushing offshore by then. And by the time we wake up on Friday morning, that continues to push further offshore. And then on the backside, you still have some colder air to contend with even into Friday. So on the backside, you can't, don't be surprised if you actually see some sporadic snow showers, kind of these wet snow showers, if you live in the Ohio Valley and to portions of the Mid-Atlantic, with some still colder air continues to penetrate into these systems, especially further up north where they've got that northwest flow continuing. But by Saturday morning, the jet stream will continue to buckle and will continue to lift further north, down to the south and much of California, into the desert Southwest, along the Four Corners region, and to Texas. And much of the Southeast will be drying out in a big way as high pressure really starts to build and kind of dominate and move back in, as the jet stream will continue to lift further off into the north. But that's on Saturday. As we get into Sunday time frame, things start to change again. We still got that northwest flow a little bit off into the portions of the Mid-Atlantic and of the Northeast with those cooler temperatures. Back behind it to the southwest of there, you got all that ridging starting to take place and build in fueling up the atmosphere again into portions off the west coast here, into the Four Corners, back into Texas and the southern plains here. But you can actually see the beginning stages of this subtle trough that's going to be developing off the west of California here. That is actually going to be our next storm system setup as we get into that Monday time frame, because we have a pretty significant trough that's going to be diving into the portions of the desert Southwest again, and out ahead of it we're going to have all that warm building moisture again out here into portions of Texas into Oklahoma, and that is going to be creating the another round of instability. In fact, there's going to be a 994 low pressure system that's going to be developing out here by the time we get into that Monday night time frame, April the 4th. 994 out ahead of it, another dry line type setup for portions of stronger storms, and some of those, yes, could turn severe again, because the overall water vapor transport index, we've got a lot more moisture returning again. The atmosphere will be refueling itself, and by the time we get into that Monday afternoon time frame, we've got the south wind kicking in again, pulling in that Gulf of Mexico moisture out ahead of it. We've got that low pressure here, and that's going to be setting the stage for another round of stronger storms into portions of Texas as we get into that Monday time frame. In fact, the latest GFS severe weather index has highlighted at least a slight risk for severe weather into portions of North Texas, into Central Texas, and out here into West Texas, as this another dynamic system continues to build over a lot of these same areas that have been seeing the severe weather already this season. So by the time we get into that Tuesday time frame, April the 5th, this storm system continues to shift off into the east, but it also buckles even more. You can actually see the dip now again on the 500 millibar. That actually dips all the way down into the Rio Grande Valley, and the further it's able to dip, the more Gulf moisture it's able to tap into. So that now we're transferring those winds to a southwest wind. That's going to be highlighting yet another round for more storms, looks to be into portions of Louisiana, into Arkansas, back into Missouri, over portions of the southeast as we get into that Tuesday time frame, because by then the water vapor transport index is really starting to amplify, taking advantage of these warmer Gulf moisture, Gulf temperatures, sea surface temperatures, and you can actually see these this rounds of water vapor will be really going into almost high levels by then. By the time we get into that Tuesday time frame, over portions of Louisiana, getting back into, unfortunately, Mississippi, back into Alabama, and extending all the way into Tennessee and western Kentucky again. In fact, the GFS guidance has actually highlighted a pretty big risk for severe weather by the time we get into that Tuesday, April the 5th time frame, highlighting over East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, getting back into Alabama, a lot of the western Tennessee again, a lot of the same areas that have seen the severe weather as of late. And especially yesterday, we could be looking at another fairly significant round of severe weather going into Tuesday, April the 5th time frame. But under the surface map, you can actually see what it looks like potentially under the kind of the double barrel low pressure systems. And it's going to be a really active day over portions of the southeast, getting into portions of the Tennessee Valley. And this will continue to shift off further into the east by the time we get into Wednesday. And then by Thursday, we have yet another pretty significant trough that's going to be diving into portions of the mid-Atlantic and to the northeast here, as well as the Ohio Valley, bringing a lot of cooler condition anomalies. And out west, we have another ridge that's going to be developing out here at the west coast, bringing all that warmth back in over portions of the west. And then we have another significant vorticity diving in the midsection of the country, dragging all the way down into the Central Plains again, really wrapping itself up and setting up shop over portions of Iowa, into Illinois, potentially into Indiana, with a lot of instability by the time we get into that Thursday, April the 7th time frame. But yeah, underneath that, for the next week, you can take a look at where all the precipitation is going to fly. I do feel the atmospheric river does get a little bit more active into the Pacific Northwest. A lot more ridging builds back up here and off the coast of California. Unfortunately, that's a lot of sinking air, so that's a lot of dry air as well. But we do have active storm systems that come back into play into portions of Texas, into Oklahoma, as much as into Kansas. And with these active systems taking advantage of those warmer sea surface temperatures and portions of the southeast, again, these are a lot of the same areas that are favorable for more severe weather, would be increasing the flood threat as well, especially along the I-20 corridor here as we get deeper into next week, and then out further ahead with that trough that's going to be dipping in for the midsection of next week. That's going to bring more instability and more heavier rain into portions of the Ohio Valley and the portions of the Mid-Atlantic. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after storm.